not because it really meant anything. He reached out to pick up the coffee mug again, and this time I noticed a heaviness in the left front of his jacket. He wasn't wearing a shoulder holster, I'd have noticed that, but there was something heavier than a wallet in his left breast pocket. It could have been a lot of things, but my first thought was, gun. I've learned to listen to my first thoughts. You're not paranoid if people really are out to get you. I had my own gun tucked under my left arm in a shoulder holster. That had evened things up. But I didn't want to turn my office into the OK Corral. He had a gun. Maybe. Probably. For all I knew, it could have been a really heavy cigar case. But I'd have bet almost anything that heaviness was a weapon. I could either sit here and try to talk myself out of that belief, or I could act as if I was right. If I was wrong, I'd apologize later. If I was right, well, I'd be alive. Better alive and rude than dead and polite. I interrupted his talk about his family tree. I hadn't really heard any of it. I was fixated on that heaviness in his pocket. Until I found out whether it was a gun or not, nothing else much mattered to me. I smiled and forced it up into my eyes. What is it exactly that you do for a living, Mr. Harlan? He drew a slightly deeper breath, settling into his chair just a bit. It was the closest thing I'd seen to tension in the man. The first real human movement. People fidget. Harlan didn't. People don't like dealing with people who raise the dead. Don't ask me why, but we make them nervous. Harlan wasn't nervous. He wasn't anything. He was just sitting across the desk from me, chilling, nondescript eyes, pleasant and empty. I was betting he'd lied about his reason for coming here, and that he'd brought a gun hidden on his person in a place that wasn't easy to spot. I was liking Leo Harlan less and less. I sat my coffee mug gently on my desk blotter, still smiling. I'd freed up my hands, which was step 1. Drawing my gun would be step 2. I was hoping to avoid that step. I want you to raise one of my ancestors, Miss Blake. I don't see where my work has any relevance here. Humor me, I said, still smiling, but feeling it slide out of my eyes like melting ice. Why should I? He said. Because if you don't, I'll refuse to take your case. Mr. Vaughn, your boss, has already taken my money. He accepted on your behalf. I smiled, and this time it held real humor. Actually, Bert is only the business manager at Animators Inc. now. Most of us are full partners in the firm, like a law firm. Bert still handles the business end of things, but he's not exactly my boss anymore. His face, if it was possible, went quieter, more closed, more secretive. It was like looking at a bad painting, one that had all the technicalities down, yet held no feel of life. The only humans I'd ever seen that could be this closed down were scary ones. I wasn't aware of your change in status, Miss Blake. His voice had gone a tone deeper, but it was as empty as his face. He was ringing every alarm bell I had. My shoulders were tight with the need to pull my gun first. My hand slid downward without me thinking about it. It wasn't until his hands raised to the arms of his chair that I realized what I'd done. We were both maneuvering to a better position to draw down. Suddenly there was tension, thick and heavy, like invisible lightning in the room. There was no more doubt. I saw it in his empty eyes and the small smile on his face. This was a real smile, no fake, no pretense. We were seconds away from doing one of the most real things one human being can do to another. We were about to try to kill each other. I watched, not his eyes, but his upper body, waiting for that betraying movement. There was no more doubt. We both knew. Into that heavy, heavy tension, his voice fell like a stone thrown down a deep well. His voice alone almost made me go for my gun. I am a contract killer, but I am not here for you, Anita Blake. I didn't take my eyes from his body. The tension didn't slacken. Why tell me then? My voice was softer than his, almost breathy. Because I haven't come to St. Louis to kill anyone. I really am interested in getting my ancestor raised from the dead. Why? I asked, still watching his body, still treading the tension. Even hitmen have hobbies, Miss Blake. His voice was matter-of-fact, but his body stayed very, very still. I realized suddenly that